Yeah, it's hard to see bluntly how the government will avoid calls to intercede and to do more, given the scale of these increases. What's currently been forecast, so these are the numbers that came out yesterday, just for everyone's understanding, is that the latest set of numbers have forecast an increase, a very significant increase, up to £3,500 or thereabouts in October. And then again, that annual cap increasing by a further £500 or potentially as much as £500 to just under £4,000 effective January. And that January number, the £500 number that you've quoted for January, because January is a cold month and people have to heat their homes more in January, the really kind of hardest part of this forecast is that in that month of January, a typical UK household will have a £500 energy bill just for that month. And again, put that in context for an average UK salary earner, that means a quarter of their take-home pay will just go to heating and lighting their homes. Now, as you say, that's almost certainly not sustainable for many UK households. The current estimates that 50% of households in the UK will be in energy poverty, which is to say that they are really going to be struggling to make ends meet. Many already are. Those on lowest incomes and the most vulnerable groups in society have had some help already from government. I think what's tough is that many middle income families are going to have to be looking for support they've never previously sought. And that's going to be very unusual and very difficult for many of us, right? The idea that, look, I get by on my own, I don't need to look for government for help. I'm a self-reliant, resilient individual. We earn our own keep. And suddenly we're in a situation where, because of the war and because of the other factors that are driving up energy prices, households are going to be desperate and they are going to be turning to government at this hour of need. So look, the cut in fuel VAT that was in energy VAT that was talked about as part of Sunak's campaign promise, and Liz Truss has also promised a holiday on fuel VAT and energy VAT. That helps a little bit. That will go about £150 a year, £13 a month towards energy costs. The existing help, as I alluded to, goes some way to helping. But the scale of these increases, the idea that 2 out of every 8 hours in your working day in January, you're just working to keep the lights on and keep your home warm enough to live in, that's something we've never seen before in our lifetimes. Now, we use this term crisis and we say unprecedented quite a lot at the moment. This is a crisis. It is unprecedented and it's really scary.
It is really scary because I think these projections are based upon where we are right now and haven't even necessarily priced in if Putin wants to ramp things up, which I can't see any reason why he wouldn't. But, I mean, beyond households, this affects everything, doesn't it? Because if you run a shop, if you run a butcher's, if you're simply delivering food, storing it in cold storage, the price of everything goes up because almost everything out there uses electricity, energy to do what it needs to do.
It does. Energy is one of the most important input costs, as economists call them, which means that when the price of energy rises, the price of other goods and services also rise. Now, some of those effects, as exactly you identify, the cost of transport, the cost of refrigeration, the cost of manufacturing, for instance, physically running a manufacturing plant becomes much more expensive if the cost of energy increases. And those costs, unlike the costs that we face as individual householders paying our bills, they aren't capped. So those rise immediately. So the recent spike in wholesale gas prices, which we're talking about affecting the future price of domestic energy, that's already affecting the price of wholesale energy, which is what commercial buyers use when they're manufacturing goods and services. So one of the reasons why inflation is as high as it is and likely to rise quite a lot further is that those prices have already fed into our economy. And I really hate to be the bearer of even more bad news, but the effect of this rising inflation is that the Bank of England is seeking to push down inflation by raising interest rates. And one of the hardest parts of this, one of the stings in the tail of the experience that we're living through as UK households, is that those of us with debt, those of us with mortgage debt in particular, are going to see the costs of those mortgages increasing significantly. So this is not pain that's just going to come in October and January and then go away again. This is going to be a rolling thunder of pain for households when their mortgages come out of their fixed rate deals and are refinanced. This is a brutal 12 to 18 months ahead. And I suspect we're going to see, as I said at the start, quite significant government intervention. Now, all that being said, one thing we can do is we can shout, we can panic, and we can scream, we can say help. And we should do those things, but we've also got to keep a calm head. And we've got to ask ourselves individually and as households a question, what can we do? Yeah. So as we just heard a few minutes ago from Joe, there's not that much most of us can do that we haven't already done to reduce our energy consumption. But if you have things you can avoid buying now, avoid buying them now. If you can defer expenditure, defer it. If you can buy the cheaper version of something that you need, now's the time to economize. If you can plan on cheaper holidays, cheaper gift giving, a cheaper Christmas, I hate to be the one to say it, but this is the time to make those tough decisions.
Everything needs to be done.